Hi guys, so it's been famous how China have used draconian measures to lock down their country and deal in particular with the outbreak in Wuhan, and how successful they have been and how they have been able to reduce the numbers of deaths and infections. And as of today, it seems they had just 40 new cases, and most of those are actually from people coming back to China, not actually new cases in China. Now, let's look here at this website. I'm going to put a link in the description so you can look at different states in the United States. But this is the state of New York, and these numbers we're going to look at are extremely frightening. So we've seen how a lockdown has been carried out in China. We've seen how it's been carried out in Italy, and also in the UK. Just recently it has started to lock down. In New York City, there has been somewhat of an approach to locking down that city. It's extremely difficult, of course, because it's a huge city. But let's look at some of the predictions. Now, this data has been produced by experts in a number of fields regarding this outbreak. So this data is pretty reliable. Of course, I'll put a link in the description. You can check it out yourself. But let's just have a look at some of the figures here. So the scenario, we have the estimated infected, estimated overload at hospitals, and the estimated deaths. So if no action is taken, we're looking at about 70% and over of infected. Now, unfortunately, in New York City, they have not really taken that many measures against the virus, and a number of hospitals have said that they are pretty close to full capacity. Now, what it means here is if no action is taken, the estimated time when hospitals in New York City, or New York State, I should say, would reach overload would be March 27th. Now, the recording of this video is March 24th, so in just a number of days, the hospitals would be overloaded. Now, what are the estimated deaths if no action is taken? You can see this number, almost 400,000 deaths in 3 months. Now, remember, this is just for New York State. It's not the entire country. Now, what if the New York State decides, the governor, Cuomo, decides, look, we need to do something. We need to impose social distancing. We've seen that. Social distancing, people stay pretty much at home. It's not a complete lockdown, but at least you're encouraging people within the community to keep a distance of about 2 meters from each other, queue in the same format, and avoid contact where possible. So the infected would be above 70% again, but hospitals would be eased somewhat, and they wouldn't reach overload until about the 3rd of April. And how many deaths are we seeing? Almost 300,000. So we're still seeing a huge amount of death and destruction in New York State, even with some sort of social distancing carried out. Now, 3 months of shelter in place, so this is a type of lockdown, somewhat similar to what's happening in the UK and in Italy at the moment. We would see 23% infected, which is still a huge number. Outside time bound, that means that it's too late actually to implement that. There isn't really a time frame, because what has happened, the US has only started considering this. Remember, Donald Trump was talking about how this entire virus was a hoax back in February. At the beginning of this month, he was saying it was a Democrat ploy to kick him out of office. And now only recently he's decided, okay, we need to take it seriously. But any measures he has taken were financial measures, not actual measures to deal with the virus on a health point of view. So what type of deaths are we seeing here? 50,000. So if we have some type of lockdown, we're still looking at about 50,000 deaths. but it's, as I said, it's too late for a lockdown, so it's out of the scope of that. And finally, a 3-month complete, secure, checking the borders, checking people coming in and out, nobody leaving their homes, as we saw in China. The infected rate would be 2%, which is tiny compared to what is possible. And of course, it's not possible to do that. It's never going to happen because it's too late. And you'd still only have about 4,000 deaths, which would be, of course, not acceptable, but would be somewhat completely different to almost 400,000. Now, I haven't checked this out for the other states. I recommend that you do that. Again, I'll put a link in the description, but I said on Twitter recently how what's going to happen in America is going to make Italy look like Iceland. The United States is going to suffer greatly because of a number of factors, because Donald Trump is incompetent. He hasn't directed his agents in the right way. You have a private healthcare system that charges people if they want treatment, so many people are not turning up to get treated. They're afraid that maybe they're infected, but they can't pay for this treatment. And many people are also not being tested. Celebrities, politicians are getting tested, but ordinary citizens are not being tested. So whatever numbers we see as infected, you can see here it's above 70%, because we can't actually have any figures because many people are not being tested. I think there's also the problem that the federal government hasn't been truly involved here, and then you also have the conflicted actions taking place between different states. So some states are being a bit more proactive while others are more reactive, and you're going to have chaos. So let me know in the comments, guys, what you think. I do recommend checking out this video, or this link. As I said, it's quite scary, but it is backed up by experts. Thanks.